Hello, this is Lindsay Boggs, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about how to make task cards that are descriptive and that will help your team understand what task it is that you're trying to give them. I'm also going to talk about making templates out of those cards so they're easier for you to make rapidly, as you need to, make sure that everything's written down and tracked in Trello. And then I'm also going to talk to you about how we do time tracking as well and how that's used by the burn down chart plugin for Trello. So, for starters, you need to have a good description for every task that you make. You should always make a task as if you didn't know what that task was going to be, and if somebody gave you that card, you would understand what to do. Of course, you should keep lines of communication open with your team, but having that written piece is very important. So let's go ahead and make a template. I'm going to do this. Let's pick on designers. We will click add another card, and I'm going to call this EST for estimate. I'm going to say task template, and then I'm going to do brackets 0, and I will tell you why in a second. I'm going to go ahead and drag that to the top of my backlog, and this way I have something to generate tasks from. So, with that said, I just have this blank description here, and then some options over here. What I've done, I went ahead and made a template that we use. I actually made it better, so now our next semester will also be having a better template. And I uploaded it as a text file, so the same site from before, resource files. Trello task _ template. It's a text file. It's not going to look pretty when you open it in Notepad, but when you paste it into here, it will make perfect sense. So here it is. I beg your pardon. It is this one. So this is the template. So just hit Control A, Control C, come over to description, Control V. All right. So, and then click off of it or hit save. This is what it looks like as a template. So you have a header, you have some bullet points. This is just simply a link to Google showing that you can link things in, how to do bold text and italic text, dashes, underspace, make a divider, and then this is just a note telling you to format this to your needs, and then keep this bit, delete what you don't need. Because this is how Trello does its formatting. It's pretty bizarre. So let me just make sure. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about formatting now since we're on the subject, and then we'll get into deliverables and that stuff in just a second. All right, so Trello uses, I guess, the positioning of certain key characters to identify how it's going to format things. So dashes under text, make it a header. If that dash doesn't have a space under it, I guess that's fine. If there is a space above it, though, it becomes a divider. So it takes in empty spaces. These bullets are simply, there's 2 spaces in front of this one. There's no spaces in front of this. Making links, so just put your hypertext in brackets, and then whatever you put in parentheses as a link directly following something in brackets will become a link to that and will not display what's in the parentheses, hence the link to Google. Double asterisks are bold text, same as in Discord, and then italics are also in single asterisks, same as in Discord. This is just a sample showing that dashes under space make a divider, showing that, this here is the open space. If I had something there, that would become a header because there's dashes underneath of it, and that those dashes wouldn't be the separator that they had been. So go ahead and use this as a springboard. Make it look nice for your team. And this bit you should probably keep. So checking in periodically when you're at least 50% complete. So it says with the art team. That's because I copied this from my Trello. There you go. I'll probably have to update that text file. so it doesn't say art by default. And then deliverables in your sprint log to link any screenshots of your completed work, and then upload any project or work files that you have to your shared point, which we use Google Drive. This is important for understanding what to link in sprint logs for proofs, because without proofs, you cannot approve any hours. So having it written down is important, just to make sure that everything is clear and all the cards, so to speak, are on the table, because it's a Trello card. Either way, that's where we're going with this. Let's look at this. Checklists. You can add a checklist to a card. So go over to checklist. You can give it a name. Checklist, I think, is a fine name. So let's keep the name checklist. If you wanted to edit it, you just click on it. And then you can add an item, and I'm going to say 50%. Where are you? Percent sign. There you go. 50% check-in. Add. All right. So I could go ahead and keep adding in items to my checklist if I wanted to. I could hit these little dots and delete. Convert to card, that's a new feature. I'll have to explore that. But either way, you can make little checklists. They can check and uncheck items. You can see it update. So when they check it off, it says 1 of 1 is complete. If I were to have another item, it says 1 of 2 is complete on there, and then of course turns green when all items are complete. So it's pretty cool. What else? Pretty much it for that. It's also important to have comments for your cards. So the way that we track time is through comments like this. So I went ahead and made an example card that your team can access. So it says here, description of the task and what defines it being complete. So that's for you to use your template to meet that. But this is what your team is going to see. So whatever description you've put here, plus the stub that says check in with a task for team feedback, and then to upload any screenshots of work in progress and to upload the work project files. And that's their deliverables. So, and then that checklist is already built in there. So with a description of what 50% check-in means. It's also up there, but just the more places, the better. That said, I just went over there, I copied this comment, which says estimate time, work time, time left, and a description of what they encountered, or what was completed. So I'll go ahead and paste that here. This itself is a comment template for your team to use. So what they're going to do from here is they'll take their estimate time. This you will discover or agree upon as a team during your sprint planning. Something that my team learned this semester, which is our 3rd semester in studio, is that the more time we set aside for sprint planning, the more accurate our burn down was. And rather than just having the leads throw out an estimate that we thought was appropriate, actually involving the team and creating their own estimates, particularly the people that would be working on those tasks, led to a better just experience of like sprint overall. Plus our burn down chart looked really nice, so that was fun. That's where the estimate goes. So when you start out with this comment, you would say the estimated time would be the same as that. So let's say this is a 3-hour task, okay? I'm going to save this comment, but I'm going to come back and edit it. So this is just an example. We got here a 3-hour task with 0 hours worked on it so far. Say within this session, I worked half an hour, so logic would dictate that there's 2.5 hours left. If they go over the estimate, that's okay. It's about practicing and getting closer to accurate each time you make a similar task of whatever the task is at hand. Example, unwrapping or texturing or modeling or writing some specific thing for code or doing a code review or whatever it is. It's about practicing this and becoming more accurate. So then they should include a description of what actual work they did. So if this was a character. So we'll say modeled base mesh for character, maybe this whole thing, maybe they're going to estimate 3 hours for just the base mesh alone. So it'll be more descriptive than that. Modeled torso and arm of character. They might also say what they need to do still. So need to model remainder of body and head. Save. Okay. So then as they work, they would take this comment that they made, and the next time they come in to work on it, maybe this was on a Monday, and hopefully they work between the week, but maybe this is a Friday. Okay. So their new time remaining is 2.5 hours since they worked half an hour before. And this time they finished it. So let's say they finished it in 2 hours. So time left, even though 2.5 minus 2 is 5, or I'm sorry, 2.5 minus 2 is 0.5. There's no time left on it because they finished it. So they might say completed character base mesh, proceeding to next task or something. Maybe not that formal, but you get the idea. So with that, when they updated their first time worked, they would have a 0.5 in there. So this task card says, we estimated 3 hours so far, half an hour of work has been done on it. The second time they come in, they entered in 2 hours of work on it. So they're going to come up here and they're going to add to this, pardon me, title of the card. So all of the math should always add up. They worked for half an hour, then they worked for 2 hours, so that's 2.5 hours total. Have your Scrum Master check this over. People struggle with math sometimes, which is okay, but it does affect the burn down chart when this number is not accurate. The burn down chart takes in this number as an argument to form your trend line, your ideal trend line at the beginning of your milestone, or the beginning of your sprint rather, and then this forms your red line for hours worked, and it also deducts from your blue line for hours remaining. When this number exceeds this number, hours remaining ceases to fall based on this task because this is greater than 100% capacity. I swear that makes more sense, and I'll go over that in another tutorial, but for now, just understand that these numbers are very important, and so keeping them accurate is very important. So having an accurate description on a card, having this template set up, having any checklists pertaining to the task, any different parts, and then of course having these comments in place so that they can accurately just copy paste this and start filling this up with our estimated time work, time left, is going to help you stay on target. It's also a communication tool. So they can say, like, you know, if, hey, this thing came up, or, you know, something was wrong with a version, or I don't know what kind of, you know, problem they might encounter. They can talk about that here, and then it's documented and it's tracked, and it's easy to look back and say, oh, okay, well, this is what happened. Or this is why we're ahead, you know, because something went very right. So that is your template there. So what we can do now, before we go ahead and make this card a template itself, is we can add labels. I believe I was going to talk about labels in this section. I sure think it was. Sure, let's do labels. So when we do labels, I already have some created here. What Trello comes standard with, if we go to menu, more, labels, they didn't have programming or all of these things set up, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete them so I can show you what we've got going on here and how to do it. They did have the colors set up, so you will have the color spectrum, but they didn't have titles, so we will make them ourselves. If you want to create a label, you hit create new label, get a green one. Actually, we already have a green one. I'm just going to rename this one programming, because our programmers are green. And our artists are blue. Designers are purple in this case. I know everything else is red, but we need to reserve red for our priority stuff. Yellow is a low priority task, and orange is a medium priority task, and a label for red is a high priority task. Cool. And then we also need like a dark blue like this for general. Awesome. So now we have all the labels that we need, and we can go over and to this card, we can give it a design label. There. And then on the card, we also click Make Template. Now, this is going to do a couple of things. I now have this option, instead of just add another card, it says here Create from Template, where I can grab the design card template and create a card. And I can even give it a name right here. So I'm just going to call this New Task. And we will edit it here. So this new task we know is going to go into, it's going to go into milestone 1, but let's just leave it here for now. And we're going to say this is our cool new task. Item 1, here's a sub point information about that. We don't need a second bullet for this, so we'll delete that. We will link to something important like the art style guide. Okay, well, even though this is a design, sorry, this is a design task. We're going to link to the GDD. Okay, we don't need any bold text. We don't need any italic text. Matter of fact, we don't need any of this stuff. So leave a space between this so this stays a divider, not a massive header, and hit save. So this is our cool new task, item 1, 7.1, blah, blah, blah. You could also just have standard text, by the way, underneath here. So text description, save. All right, cool. So let's just say this is the content that we have. Notice that our comment is gone from this. That's because we generated it with a template, which does not include the comment that we had. They can still find it, particularly if you keep this template at the top of your backlogs. It shouldn't be a problem for them to just go through, edit, do their stuff. The other option that you have that will preserve the comments is, rather than coming down here and making from a template, going to the template card itself, edit, copy, and it includes the comments on it. And so this is going to say our awesome task, create card. Okay, and so it pops it up right above that card, so I can just drag that down a little bit. And I'm going to say this is a 5-hour task. I'm going to edit these descriptions. Maybe I don't want all of this stuff. I just want a link to Google is fine. We will say you are awesome. And we don't want any italic texts. So delete anything you don't need. Save. Awesome. So that's all we needed, and this preserved, this time, the comment from the template itself. So there you have it. That's how you create tasks. You have those two ways to make a template, or to just come up here and copy the template itself. Do not overwrite the template. It's good to have it preserved like that, but if I edited this, it will edit what I create from it, so just be careful. It even says template right on this view, so that makes it harder to mess it up. But keep those things in mind. Let's see what else is up for this video. Descriptions, text formatting, checklist, deliverables, archiving and deleting cards. So Trello allows you to archive cards and pull them back. I don't think I've ever had to pull cards back, but it's good to have just an archive and reserve. It's kind of a pain in the neck. I did have to pull back a card once. But if you know for a fact that you're not going to need something, you can go ahead and delete it. So I'm going to go ahead and delete these. So I will go to, so from this view, you can't delete cards. You could only archive them. And it would say, oh, it's not even going to prompt me. Cool. So be careful because apparently it doesn't ask you to confirm that. But if I click on this and I click archive, then I can delete it. So there you are. What else? Time tracking. We talked a bit about this. We'll talk about time tracking more in another video with burn downs and how that actually gets taken into account. And I'll show you where it gets entered into this table that calculates the data. And we talked about commenting on time cards. So that is everything for time cards, templates, and time tracking. Understand that this is important. I cannot stress that enough. It is very important to adhere to the parentheses and these brackets there. So upcoming is going to be labels. We actually just talked about those in this video. So voila, I can spell. We saved ourselves a video. Up next will be the burn down and keywords that Trello uses, as well as this bit of magic to make sure that everything gets calculated accurately. And then I will finally make this entire board into a template, and I will show you how to create this entire board from just a template as opposed to going through and integrating all of these things yourselves. But yeah, that's everything for this video. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next one.